And we are back for another episode of the GGEZ pod. That's me and Julianne. Hi, Julianne.
Hi.
Baby Jules and I are back for episode 2, coming at you live from, I don't know, from Gibraltar, maybe? I'm not sure. That is one of my favorite maps, Julianne.
Not noted. Mine's got to be
what?
Kings Row, #1 for sure.
I mean, that's a given. You know what I mean? Like, I that's one of those things. Like, why say that?
I know it's true.
Like,
it's
at least
everyone's favorite
map. At least it's actually not my favorite map, but it is a good map. What is it? Numbani is my favorite map. The Zenyatta maps are all my favorite maps. Cool. I think just between the three heroes I like to play the best, they all excel there. You know what I mean?
Perfect.
You can boop with Lucio. You have really sneaky turret placement with Torb. You know, also that's like my second favorite semester map, I think. You know what I mean? You know, so I dabble. But anyways, everybody, welcome back to the GGEZ pod. If you didn't watch the first episode, that's fine. Here we are. I'm Joel Cupcake. This is BB Jules, and we both love Overwatch. So here we are. We're doing this show. I play on Xbox Series X. Julianne plays on PC, so we got some unique perspectives. We're also lifelong friends, and we appreciate you guys checking out the show. I'm going to do a plug real quick, and then we'll get started, Jules.
Sounds good.
You can find us everywhere at GGEZPod. Just reach out to us on there if you have anything you want to say to us via an email. In the description of the show is a link tree, and there's a button in there that lets you email us. So just, be social media, clear and just do that, I don't know. I'm not good at social media, so who knows?
That's my jam.
Who knows? I know that's your jam. You help me stay young, so I appreciate that. Julianne, today's episode, I wanted to dive into, Blizzard's actually been offering a lot of support for the game. I think we've had a lot of bug fixes, a lot of map error fixes. Like they're paying attention to not just character bugs, but like quality of life fixes and little tiny like errors on the map that aren't working as intended, So I love this personally. I think it's a big step up from the game spent like 2 years just being in oblivion before the new one came out.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like people were I literally am surprised they never took the service offline.
I know. Yeah. They definitely had all their eggs in the Overwatch 2 basket for a little while there. So Overwatch 1 was suffering a bit.
And I do think it did help, But anyway, so the game's been out since October. We had a whole bunch of stuff. You can go to the Overwatch or the Blizzard website and read some of this stuff. A lot of it was like little bug fixes, but they've actually been listening to the community, which I love. It's my favorite aspect so far is they're listening better than some of the other games we play have been. And, so I'm going to go through and just read off a couple of these things. And then, Jules, we'll just talk about how we feel about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So back in November, they did a couple general fixes. You know what I mean? They're just monitoring the play of competitive play and matchmaking. They dropped some new skins because of the Overwatch League tournament, which I thought was kind of cool. Those have statistically been some of my favorite skins. Excuse me. And then they did add aim assist back to crossplay when you do pub matches. You still cannot crossplay queue with PC people for ranked, which I think that's an oversight. But I mean, I get it. Like they want to make sure there's competitive integrity.
Yes.
And as someone who kind of complains about crossplay lobbies a lot, like I get it, but it's not like, this game's pretty well optimized. So it's not like I don't think an FPS difference is going to be that big of a benefit in this game as it would be in like BRs or like high intensity shooters like Destiny, But yeah, so they added that. For some reason they buffed the diva. So the spread, well, they didn't buff her, but they changed her. So the spread on her cannons was increased from 3.5 to 3.75. They lowered the impact damage, which I think was actually good.
Yes.
And the call mech, the boosters. And then the call mech, they fixed this in a previous update. The ultimate cost was reduced by 12%. you know, we talked about this on the last episode, Jules. I think that is silly. I think the AOE on her mech like slamming down is like completely ludicrous.
Yeah.
And so I don't think she needed to get it back any faster. I mean, a good diva player knows how to get her mech back faster, or their mech back faster. You know what I mean? I shouldn't, you know. So
yeah. And I think that maybe instead of reducing the ultimate cost, they could have, like you were saying, reduced like the spread on like the call mech. So people don't get Goomba stomped as much. But
yeah, like literally I'll be like wall riding nowhere near the diva and get stomped. You know what I mean? It's like it's literally worse than the range on the Reinhardt shoulder charge.
I think it's like the most embarrassing way to die in a game. Definitely.
No, getting pistoled by Mercy is still the most embarrassing way to die in a game.
Is it?
In my opinion.
Okay.
I mean, I think so. Okay, I guess that depends. If you're another healer, it's not that big of a deal. But if you are like, I'm Reaper, and like a Mercy walks up, regardless of if you have a Discord orb on you or not, and like pews you in the back of the head and then pistol whips you and you die, like you should probably not queue DPS the rest of the day. You know what I mean? So, but moving down to Zarya, her particle barrier, the duration was reduced from 2.5 to 2 seconds. The cooldown was increased from 10 to 11 seconds. And then the projected barrier, which is so particle barrier is the one she puts on herself, and projected is the one she puts on her teammates. The duration, it was the same thing. The duration was reduced by 0.5 second, and the cooldown was increased to 1 second. You know, her having the double charge, I think, was already like a very awkward way to try to balance her to keep her relevant. So, I mean, I don't know how you feel about this. Like, I definitely think these changes were needed.
Yeah, I think that with launch, Zarya was super OP, and this kind of brought her back down a little bit. So I think it was good, because I felt like when I was playing against Zarya, she just, like, everyone, like, there was just bubbles all the time, and like they lasted forever, and it just was unstoppable. So I think that it was necessary, but I know that a lot of my Zarya friends are sad about it.
Yeah, I mean, not much to be sad about. Like, honestly, though, like I played her, and it's like the thing with Zarya is like, you know, and I'm gonna go, other than maybe Sigma, she is the big brain tank. Like, you have to know how to play her, because a good Zarya can be nearly unstoppable. You know, between the damage her beam does and
bubble management and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, you know, I would rather fight like the number one Rhine in the world than the number one Zarya in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the thing that I think would maybe be something to look into is they got rid of stuns, right? Something that I wouldn't mind. I understand the bubble absorbing damage, but why maybe not? Like, I think my biggest complaint when I fight a Zarya, especially as, like, you know, a guy who plays Lucio most of the time, is I can't boop her when her bubble's up. And that sucks, because Lucio, especially with like the nerf to his movement speed, you know, when he goes into speed boost mode, is like, that's his only defense, is to boot people away. That's his usefulness outside of being a healer. And like the fact that the bubble allows you to not do that, I think that's a little shitty, you know?
Yeah. Maybe
something in the future patch I wouldn't mind seeing.
Yeah. Okay.
Genji, I don't even really want to read this, but his shurikens, the damage got reduced and he got more of them. Oh no! The ammo did get reduced. Okay.
Yeah, ammo and the damage.
So they went from 30 to 24, and then his damage got reduced from 29 to 27. Obviously, that was needed. The number of like terrible Genjis is high, but when you get a Genji that knows what he's doing, like,
Yeah, I feel like with Genji, they were trying to, I mean, like, when Overwatch 2 first came out, it was just, like, Genjis in every game. And I think that they were trying to, like, minimize that impact a little bit. But I think that Blade is just, like, so stupid. Like, I
mean, he's always a very broken character, in my opinion. Especially, like, I don't play him, so I don't know what his moves are called, but when he does like the little like slice, you know what I mean? Like his hitbox, or like the AoE on that needs to go down. Like like he is advertised as basically like the high skill character. Like,
Yeah, he is hard
like
to play.
he is hard to play, but also like, like especially when I'm watching death recaps of him killing me, like he can do that little slice and barely even be anywhere near me, and it'll finish me off. And I'm like,
Yeah.
then granted, the shurikens are still really hard to aim with, just like
Yeah.
Kiriko's what are they called? Her they're kunai, right?
Nice. Yeah.
Just like Wraith from Apex, yeah.
Mhm.
Like her kunai are very hard to aim, as they should be. You know what I mean? But like that move, I feel like is almost just too easy.
Mhm. Yeah. A little bit of a cop out.
Yeah. Thank you. Perfect.
Yeah.
I agree, Julianne. Junkrat in the last update, so he was already fixed earlier to this, but the arming time for the steel trap increased to 0.75 seconds from 0.5, and the trap duration got reduced by half a second as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think he is the character that has been too balanced or too buffed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, he just like does so much spam damage, and it's just, I don't know. There's a lot of Junkrat players in my games. I don't know about other ranks, but
yeah,
the amount of spam is just like so annoying.
Well, I think we talked about it last time. Like one of the reworks he got was his grenades do a bigger like area of damage effect, or
Right.
AOE, for those of you that don't understand that acronym. And I think that was completely unneeded. Like the double mines having this trap get a buff. Well, now obviously they reverted it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But like I think that I don't know, something's got to go with him. Like, or his ult needs to be way more easy to destroy.
Yeah.
So something's got to change, like with it. I know his pick rate is down, at least from what I've seen. I don't know how it is over on the PC side.
Mhm.
I mean, I can almost guarantee on right now on the console side, like we're getting a Reaper almost every game. You know what I mean? And then it's just a matter of who the other DPS is.
Mhm.
So I'm not seeing as many Junkrats as I'd like. I usually request that my DPS go Junkrat.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know. On to the biggest problem in the game right now, Sombra. So her rework at the beginning of the season really helped her do a lot more damage, which I guess is fair. I don't know, man. I think back in Overwatch 1, we talked about this on the last episode. They changed it so that the kick, like her recoil, like the spread was very reduced. I mean, like if you're Sombra and you just run up on like a character with like a medium to large size frame like Torb or Winston, like every single bullet in your clip will hit them.
Mhm.
And like I think that's one of those things where it's like, Soldier has recoil, Sojourn, the bullets do so little damage, it's not that bad if you hit all of them. You know what I mean? Like I feel like with every other character there's like a balance to this, and with Sombra it's just like, oh no, I can run around hidden the whole game and fry.
Yeah.
And then so what they did in this game in this patch to try to balance her out was her hack. The ability lockdown was reduced from 1.75 to 1.5 seconds. Hacked enemies are no longer valid targets for hacking for the duration of the 8-second effect. And the hacked enemy damage multiplier reduced from 40 to 25%.
Mhm.
Obviously, based on how I started this conversation, I think that was all needed. And I think you agree.
Yeah, I think so. I think that her ability to hack while she's invis now is a lot. It's a big buff for her. So doing this little bit of a nerf, I think was probably a good thing as well.
Yeah, that, and I mean, I think the only way to me that you make that character fair is, so like with Tracer, you can usually see where she recalls to. You know what I mean? With Sombra, she can have that teleport like pretty far away, which I think is nonsense. So I think maybe making it so she can't teleport back to spawn, and maybe there should be a half a second like leeway, like like there's a lot of stuff in like Apex, the other game I play, that you can't use an ability, or like your response time is reduced if you're being shot. So maybe it's like if Sombra's being attacked, she has to wait half a second before she can hit her recall. Like just being able to recall whenever she wants, I think is especially to like the people who play the Tracers and the Genjis, where it's pretty easy to follow and track them. Like if you know what you're doing, I think that's not fair.
Yeah.
Also,
I think that pros and cons. So yes, I agree. I think that having her place her TP farther away from the fight, it creates, it's more difficult to get back in the fight once she's, got somebody low or hacked somebody. So there's that aspect of it that does make it a little bit more fair, but but yeah, I think that, I play Valorant too, so there is a character recently that got nerfed chamber, and he also TP'd between two like teleport posts, and they just nerfed him so that he can't do that anymore. He has like one teleporting post, and that has a radius around it, so you can be in the radius and teleport to that spot again, but it's not very far. So that was a big nerf for him. So maybe something similar could be beneficial. But then again, like I said, then she'd be able to get back in the fight a little bit quicker. So who knows if that would really make that much of a difference. But something to think about.
Yeah, I mean, a good tip for Sombra also is like, again, how Julianne and I ended the show last week was freaking peel for your healers. Like if you know there's a Sombra in the game when you're paying attention to her, she's not a problem. But if you're letting a Sombra run around and attack your backline free of charge, she's the most annoying person to deal with in the game.
The thing that I really hate about Sombra is spawn camping. As somebody that has, I'm a squishy, I play support. So having her spawn camp me when my team is halfway across the map is a little bit challenging, especially because I primarily play Mercy. So I don't do as much damage as the other supports, so that is frustrating, but luckily I don't run into too many Sombras in my games, so that, thank God, because a good Sombra is very annoying.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, even if you like, see, I don't worry about that too much. That's a good thing to bring up because I play Lucio, you know what I mean? And Lucio, even if you hack him, his passive, he can still wall ride and get the boost and momentum by jumping off the wall, even if he's not in speed boost mode. So like, I still can I can boop her and then try to like bounce off the wall to get away from her. You know what I mean? But I didn't think of it because with Mercy, if the team's far away from you, you have nobody to fly to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then someone from your team has to come back and like help you. So that's annoying. But that doesn't happen too often, thank goodness.
Thank you. Yeah, thank God. And then for it's Kiriko, right? Am I saying that right?
Kiriko.
Yeah. Her invulnerability, the duration just got reduced from 0.4 seconds to 0.25 seconds. I think that's smart. I think the whole point of her swift step is excuse me. The whole point of her swift step is to reposition to safety or to get to the people she needs to heal. So she should have as little invulnerability as possible. You know what I mean? Like that makes a lot of sense to me. I'm completely fine with that. You know what I mean? Everything else they kind of did was just general fixes. You know what I mean? There was a lot of weird stuff with like Brig's shield, and then Doomfist wasn't able to hit his ult a lot, and there was just a lot of like little audio fixes. So they went through and they fixed all that. You know what I mean? And then I think a big update that happened in this November patch was that Mei came back into the game. And then I do like that her ice wall lasts long, not as long, and has less health. I don't remember when they made that change. I don't know if that was a launch change or not, but I think that as a Mei player, like, I used to tell people in Overwatch 1, like, when you could do the not roll Q lock, I would, instead of playing a second tank, I'd play Mei. And they're like, you're not doing your job right. I'm like, listen, they're going to have a diva, most likely. I will counter the diva, and then my wall, I will just use it to separate, whether it's to separate their tanks or their DPS, so that we can hone in on them, or use it to separate, for positional, advantage. And everyone was always like, you talk a big game, but then it's like you could actually do that stuff.
Yeah.
But so really making the wall easier to break, I think is a smart move.
Yeah, I think so. I think when playing Mei against a diva, the only thing that is tough there is if you try and like wall off the tank, right? If you try and wall off the diva, she can just fly over it. Versus like if you had a Rhine that you're rolling off, you can just wall him off and probably kill him pretty easily. But that's like the only downside, I think, of playing Mei into Diva.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then just a lot of audio fixes, and then and then I believe also on December 6th we had a patch that actually affected characters. Again, like I'm loving that they're consistently paying attention. Like, no, we're not just going to put this game out and make you deal with it. You know what I mean? So I do love that. Excuse me. With this, they announced Ramatra or
Ramatra?
Yeah, it is Ramatra, right? Okay, I'm like trying to like do the syllables. Yeah, they announced Ramatra. You know what I mean. So we'll get to him on our next episode.
Yeah.
They made some updates that I really liked, pertaining to overtime on control maps. If Team A has 99% of the point and Team B current control of the point, but then Team A take back control of the point, overtime automatically triggers and starts to burn down unless Team B can touch it again. I like that instead of it just being a win, or like something it like triggers the overtime appropriately. I'm glad they fixed that. Yeah, and that rule only applies to overtime, so at lower points to the game, it doesn't, lower percentage, it doesn't matter. They added some more challenges for the new heroes, which we're about to talk about. So Junkerqueen, Sojourn, and Kiriko. And then they also added a bunch of player icon rewards. Don't care about that. Competitive play, they added temporary competitive reward titles, all based on your rank at the end of the season. This is some kind of cool stuff to work towards. I wasn't able to unlock any of the nameplates last season. That kind of bummed me out. You know what I mean? So I'll probably get the medic one first and just be stuck owning that for a minute, but it's all good. They tried to improve some UI flow, implemented some matchmaking enhancements to improve match quality. Just some of that type of stuff. Okay, so onto our hero updates. The damage roll passive no longer provides a movement speed update, but the reload speed bonus was increased from 25% to 35%. I think that's fair. The reload speed is more important than the actual character movement speed. So, so for this patch, Doomfist, they did a whole ton of stuff to him.
Whole ton of stuff.
Yeah, the rocket punch, the impact damage range was increased from 15 to 30 to 25 to 50. I don't understand why you would double it. Like, I understand increasing it, but like, I mean, he's already hard to kill because of his movement. You know what I mean? So now you're gonna make him like. I mean, I think there are better heroes you can make a glass cannon. Is my point. You know what I mean? If you don't know what that term is, people just Google it. I'm not going to fucking explain it to you. The wall slam, the damage range was reduced. So he does. I don't know. This makes no sense. The damage range. So when you slam someone to the wall, I get it.
Wall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have less of an area where you can do that and it damage them. Cool. Love that. Empowered rocket punch. The slam duration was reduced. Good. The non-empowered one stuns for the minimum 0.25 seconds. That's fine. Whatever. The knockback radius for empowered is reduced from 4 to 3. I think that's great. Minimum time before a cancel option becomes available reduced from 0.25 to 0.12 seconds. Cooldown was reduced from 4 seconds to 3 seconds. This is for Rocket Punch still. And then, for his power block, the cooldown was reduced. The duration was increased by half a second. The minimum damage mitigated required to empower Rocket Punch reduced from 90 to 80. Meteor Strike now empowers Rocket Punch on landing. Enemy slow duration increased from 2 to 3 seconds. And then the best defense, which I believe is his passive, right? Maximum temporary health increased from 150 to 200. And the health gained per target hit with abilities is increased from 30 to 40.
Yeah.
I don't know why this character needed a buff. Like, I'm going to be like super real with you. Like, how do you feel about this? I mean, I think I don't see that many Doomfists in Xbox lobbies right now, so I'd rather get your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I think that he needed a buff because he was the worst tank to play for sure. But they buffed him so much that he is in almost every single game that I play now. He's in, and it's kind of crazy. I think that maybe they didn't need to do as much as they did with him, but I know that people that play Doomfist are probably happy that they can actually play him and be viable now. So, but yeah, he was the worst tank, and now he's like one of the best tanks to play. So
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I think another issue is not necessarily that he wasn't good. Maybe Julianne, and forgive me if this is me putting on my tinfoil hat and going on a tangent. Is I think that it wasn't that he wasn't good. I think that with the reduction of 6 players to 5 and it going to 1 tank, I think a lot of people, at least in what I'm seeing, there's still a lot of people that are new to the game, so they hard stuck choose these like Widowmakers and stuff like that for DPS. And I think with Doom, you have to have the right support, and you have to have people that understand how to run dive comp.
Yeah.
And I think the problem with a lot of divas is she's so beefy now, she doesn't have to be considered just dive. So they kind of play either overly aggressive or they play pretty passively. So just like the whole like, hey, let's go dive comp, like the amount of times you say that and you only see like 2 people switch. And if the other people are either assholes, noobs, or don't know what they don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know.
I think having a Doomfist on your team, like you have to have the ability to dive with him. A lot of the time, I wouldn't say all the time, because I have had some really good Doom players. Occasionally, I would say less often than, I don't know, not more often than not, but and I did hear somebody tell me in game, I had a really good Doom player, and he was saying that, you know, if you played Doom in Overwatch 1 and you play him the same way that you played him in Overwatch 1, you're not going to be good at him. So people need to just like learn how to play him the way that he's made now, because he is so different. So that was kind of an interesting thought.
He was it's a whole new ball game. You know what I mean? Like even when I fight a Doom, I fight like I'm fighting one in Overwatch 1, and I'm like, we need a brig, we need stuns, we need this, and then I'm like, oh wait, stuns are gone from the game.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I mean, you can still use a brig. I mean, I think the best thing the most luck I've had with Doom is honestly the 2 best counters to him are a healer going Orisa. So when you do damage him, not Orisa, I'm sorry, Zenyatta. You know, you discord him, and that really, really makes him easier to kill. But then from a tank perspective, like when I see the other guy go Doom, unless I have a great team, I switch to Orisa because you mess up his flow when you go into gold form, and he can't knock you back, he can't mess you up, he can't stun you. You know, I mean, I think my favorite thing is like a Doom bouncing around, and then I hit gold form. He hits me, stops it in his movement tracks.
Yeah.
And then he gets discorded. I spear him into the car next to me and just shoot him in the head, and he dies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I think that a lot of the time, I think that a lot of tanks, at least that I've played with, they still aren't super comfortable with Doom. So if there is another Doom on the other team, instead of like playing Doom, like mirroring the Doom, a lot of people go Hog. So that does also help, as long as you're a good Hog.
Yeah. Well, I also right now, I think, you know, we talked about it last episode a little bit. I think Hog he's not necessarily overpowered, but I think they need to do something because he's too relied upon. Like they have good Genji, they have good Doom, they have good Reaper, they have a good Bastion. Like the counter is always Roadhog. You know, I don't think the devs meant to leave us in that corner. You know what I mean? But it's like, it kind of seems like if you don't run Roadhog or Semestra, you can't counter like half the characters in the game now. You know?
Yeah, I feel like it's all just right now, because it is so new and like everything is so different. It's just kind of like a learning experience. And especially because they keep continuing to release these updates and these hero changes. It's all just kind of up in the air, I guess. As far as, you know, like I don't think there's going to be like a certain meta for a while. I don't think, I think, which is good because I think that that's good. It allows, you to play different heroes and try different things, try different comps. But yeah, I think that Hog is viable, but he's also pretty easy to counter. I mean, even with even if you have a Hog and a Kiriko on the other team, you can still do enough as Ana, I feel like, to get rid of the Hog. So I mean, we'll see how things go.
On the other thing is I have yet to encounter. So the Roadhog is to me that the ones that I'm encountering that are good are only good because they're being carried by like a Mercy or a Kiriko, like you said. Every Roadhog that I run into or that's on my team is the problem I run into is that they go play like they're Reaper. Like they go for the crazy side hooks and all that stuff. It's like, dude, you are the tank. You need to absorb the damage for the people who can't.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of Hog players that really rely on like their self-heal ability. And they get themselves in a sticky situation where, they're antied or they're, cut off from the team and can't get help because they're like in the back line, So I think that with that, it's just people needing to have a little bit more game sense, which unfortunately isn't the hero's fault. It's the player's fault.
Exactly.
But
ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth? Yeah. I mean, with the Doomfist argument, if you're good at him, you're great at him. But I mean, like, there's enough, Hog is a great counter. Orisa, I think, is a great counter. Semester is a great counter. Having a Zen with the orb on him is a great counter. And on the flip side, if you have a Doomfist on your team and you don't know how to support the Doomfist, you can ask and hope he's not one of the assholes that doesn't have a mic on, But also, you can go Zenyatta. You can put the heal orb on him and you can call out who you're discording. If you discord that back range, like if you're fighting a team that has a non-shield tank and you're able to just discord the back line, you call it out and that Doom will makes it easy for him.
That's my biggest thing with Zen is like, I feel like he is not viable if you don't calm. Like if you're not in chat, if you don't, even if you are in chat and you don't talk, I feel like it just I don't know what the word is I'm trying to think of, but like his value is just, it goes down so much. Like if
I agree.
Yeah. So that's like a whole another thing too.
Unless you can pick the only scenario in which I would disagree with you is if you are one of those crazy Zens where you can actually pick the other squishy characters with your charge shot from like across the map. If you can do that and you're not calming it, you're helping the DPS. So it makes up for your being a shitty teammate. But if you can't hit those shots, then by all means, like you need to be in comms, at least so you can listen. I mean, I've been pretty lucky. Most of the Zens I get are like, hey, like they're at least listening, even if they don't talk. So when I'm like, hey, like, oh, Zen, get ready, like, the Zarya's gonna grab us, or this or that, or like, hey, I'm gonna push in with this. They're gonna counter, and then Zen, you need to be ready with yours to counter, and then like they'll emote me or hit the acknowledge, and I'm like, okay, cool. So at least you're listening. Yeah. But if you're not doing any of that, like, oh dear God, like please don't play Zen.
I feel like that goes without saying for everyone. Like as long as you're in chat, it makes it a little bit better. But being able to call your discords makes it adds so much value. So
yeah. I just feel bad doing it, like especially like when I'm if you're in chat and it's like, oh, your team's not doing that hot, and it's like Genji Discord, Roadhog Discord, like, but no one else is talking. You're like, am I just annoying my team? Like, am I just driving them up the wall? I just do it anyways.
I don't even care.
No, I know, I do it too. But it's just kind of one of those like things, like, oh man, like, oh man. Yeah. So, okay. Anyways, we got a few more changes that happened. So. And this again is at the beginning of this month, the beginning of December. So, Junkerqueen, the torso and head hit volume size increased by 12%. Um, I think that means they made her hitbox bigger.
Hmm.
The fact that they put the term volume in there makes no sense to me. So, but I'm assuming it just means there's a larger volume of her body that takes the damage, or her hitbox. So
Hmm.
whatever, that's good. I'll take that. Rampage, the wound up duration was decreased by half a second. I think that's fair. Ultimate cost was reduced by 10%. Her commanding shout, the cooldown was reduced from 15 to 14 seconds. Adrenaline rush, the passive healing multiplier was increased from 1 to 1.25. Damage dealt by wounds.
Hmm.
How do you feel about this, Julianne?
I don't really feel any way about this. I feel like Junkerqueen is still just not good. I mean, it's very rare that you get somebody on your team that locks Junkerqueen and like does really well.
Yeah.
I just think that there's so many other tanks that are way more viable, and it's just kind of meh.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. I mean, if you're decent at her, you at least stay alive a while.
Hmm.
But that doesn't mean you're being effective.
Right.
It's very weird that the commanding shot, the cooldown got reduced. I feel like one thing Blizzard's always done well with this game is they don't want to make the support abilities, the abilities that not even support the buff abilities. They've always been very careful with how
Hmm.
strong they are. So I think it's interesting that we got commanding shot reduced. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I definitely think that her, as someone who tried to play her a decent amount, like just for funsies, I do think the healing passive multiplier being increased, I think was the right move.
Hmm.
Because like once you get focused, even if you're doing damage, you're just fried on her. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
Let's see. Bastion, delay before for configuration artillery. The delay before the projectile drops were drops reduced from 1 to 0.6 seconds. Explosion damage reduced by 50. No longer deals explosion damage to yourself, and the minimum delay between shots reduced by 20%.
Hmm.
Now, on all these, if you go to the actual Blizzard page for Overwatch, they actually all have a little blurb from the developer comments. I haven't been reading those because I don't care.
Yeah.
But the Bastion one, it says the intent for Bastion's ultimate is that the enemy players can survive it if they are quick to react to the damaging impact areas. However, it ended up being too easy to avoid the damage areas entirely. So they've reduced both the amount of waiting time and explosion damage so that it's more reliable in dealing damage, but it won't be as lethal the closer the target gets to the edge of the explosion range.
Hmm.
So the second half of that explanation I love, and
Hmm.
the first I don't, because
Hmm.
this game is so in the middle of a fight. It's so audio heavy. It's so like if you're not paying attention, if you're not in comms, like you're not going to notice that his ult was called at an upper echelon of play. I think this is perfect. If
Hmm.
you're in a higher skill gap, this is great. But I think for pubs, like I've been getting like rickrolled, and I play Lucio, who without having a teleport ability is supposed to be the fastest character in the game.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Other than I guess Soldier now, you
Yeah.
know. And the fact that like I can switch to speed boost and hit it, and I can't get out in time. I
Hmm.
think that to me there is no argument for that to not be nonsense.
Hmm.
But I'm also a stubborn like day one Lucio player, so I don't know. What do you think about all this?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think that it's a pretty good ult. I really like the changes they made to Bastion in
Mm-hmm.
Overwatch 2. Um, I think that it is really hard to escape as a squishy. You're pretty much always just dead if you're like in a corridor somewhere with a Bastion ult. I mean, it's just kind of hard to avoid.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of other ults like that too that, like Orisa ult, I'm just pretty much always dead unless I have like a Kiriko or someone to fly to, which usually everyone's in the ult. So it's I think it's okay. And it's not
Yeah.
like he doesn't, I don't know. I haven't run into too many issues with it personally yet.
Interesting. Sorry, the dog just ran in the office, so I was
Oh,
giving her attention. I
Bowie,
apologize.
you're fine.
Yeah. So for Sojourn, they made a bunch of changes to the railgun. They didn't do The rest of her abilities just the railgun. So the energy delay before draining reduced from 8 to 5 seconds. The secondary fire damage fall off starting range reduced from 70 to 40. Secondary fire critical damage multiplier reduced by half a point. The secondary fire damage now scales linearly. Wait.
Linearly
With energy from 30 to 130.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 1 energy converts to 1 damage. Okay, that makes sense. So they should have started with those parentheses. I was like, this lineup after makes no goddamn sense. Primary fire per damage projectile increased from 9 to 10, and the overlock energy charge rate increased by 20%.
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't think she needed a buff. I think she was really strong on release. I think she has like probably like the second or third highest like bullshit escape movement ability in the game, in my opinion. Because she can get to higher places quicker than like a Lucio can wall ride to them.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, even Moira's teleport is directional. Kiriko's relies on another person being there. You know what I mean? So like she can just like go. I think to be fair, as a console player, I have a lot of hate for Blizzard's dev team on how they have done movement in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since they added that like annoying little like dash to Hanzo where he can even like kind of shoot at the end of it and it doesn't affect his accuracy. Like I don't know why you would include a move like that that doesn't affect your accuracy. I think that's just a poor, like, the excuse is always, it's a high skill gap move. Like I think that's nonsense. Like for example, the other game Julian and I both play it's called Apex Legends. There's a character called Octane. He literally like stims himself and he doubles his, he doesn't double his movement speed, but he becomes the fastest character in the game. But when you do that, your aim is still perfect. So I don't know how you can increase movement speed and not increase recoil or reduce, your aiming skills. I seriously, I will not play him for that reason, Julie.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I'm like, this was a poor dev decision. And so, Sojourn basically got a buff, I would say, based off everything we just read, right?
Everyone I've talked to, I mean, with the damage fall off, everyone I've talked to says that she feels better now. But I think that maybe in like lower ranks, it's probably not as easy to play. I don't know. That's just an assumption. I don't know. I don't play DPS personally. So, but I know that people that I play with that play her regularly say that it does feel a lot better. So it does kind of feel like a buff.
Okay, well, that's good. Yeah. I mean, that's good for you Sojourn mains out there. It's funny to me the way you kind of just phrased that answer, because it's weird. Like, to me, Sojourn has turned into Genji or whatever. Like, usually when I see a Sojourn on my team, they're the lowest DPS because everyone's just trying the new character. At least in a lot of like Xbox lobbies. Again, I didn't get out of gold last season, so like let me make that crystal clear on the competitive angle. You know what I mean? Because I just didn't have the time.
Yeah.
Also I accidentally like rage quit a game when I didn't realize we had overtime, so it like dropped my fucking rank. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yesterday I had a power surge while I was playing in a comp game, and my everything just shut off. So I'm really looking forward to my rank adjustment after I finish. I think I have 2 games left. That'll be fun.
I'm so sorry.
It's fine. I'll get back. It's just annoying.
Yeah. So back down to some more DPS. Semestra, beam charge rate and decay rate increased by 20%. So for those of you that don't know, this is probably a huge tip for a lot of people. I would assume, Julianne, if you play Semestra or you're playing a Semestra, anytime the Semestra's primary fire shoots a Zarya bubble, a Sigma shield, a Reinhardt shield, I think that's it. I don't think the Maywall charges it. Or a Brig shield. You are actually or a Winston bubble. You are actually charging her main attack to be the thicker beam. So that is not part of her ultimate. It is part of her passive. It's part of her kit. So I think the fact that it charges 20% quicker, but also decays 20% quicker, I think that's good.
Yeah.
She's so damn squishy. I think that's great. The ammo consumption rate increased from 7 to 10 per second. this mode of fire got a buff, so takes more ammo. Fair. And then primary fire gains ammo from damaging barriers again. So I felt like that was interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
So it gets charged and you get ammo back if you've already spent some.
Mm-hmm.
So which is good because she's so squishy. You have to be mobile with her.
Mm-hmm.
I think Semestra's the character that's probably changed the most over the course of this entire game franchise. You know, between like, between like, you know, her ultimate used to be the teleporter, then her, you know, her secondary was the shield. You know, now it's like neither, you know, and then she has the big shield wall, which I do love, you know, for her ult, and it's like she's changed so much.
I
like
think
this
her
change.
and Bastion probably have been the most changed.
Well, Bastion got a complete rework, so yeah, you're right. For Tracer, her damage is increased from 5 to 6. Do you want to even address that, Julianne?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good. Tracer is so squishy that I think having her do more damage makes sense to me. But she does have a lot of mobility. She's, you know, another character that I see a lot in my games right now because of the buff. But yeah, I mean, you just have to hit your shots when you play Tracer.
Yeah, I, honestly, from someone who's been playing this game since day one, I'm saying this is a bad move.
Yeah.
You rarely. I would say Tracer is the number one hero where when you see people pick them, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, a lot of the time.
And if you know what you're doing as Tracer, you don't need a buff or an advantage. Like at least in my opinion. And I play the two characters that counter her the best, other than I guess, well, Junkrat would be probably her best counter because of the trap. You know what I mean? But like Winston and Semestra, in my opinion, are good counters to her. You know, obviously Hog counters everybody at this point in time, like I mentioned earlier. You know, so I play both the characters that do a decent job of countering her, and it's just, you know, it's ludicrous how like if she's good, she can kill a tank quicker than Reaper, if she's good. You know, which is, I mean, that statement in and of itself said something. So Ana. Sleep Dark, the cooldown was reduced from 15 to 14 seconds. Ana got a lot of really healthy changes in her rework, as we mentioned last episode.
I think this one for sure was necessary when they buffed Doom. So I think having that sleep cooldown is super helpful. So I like this change.
Yeah, I think getting rid of stuns in the game, I actually think this cooldown should be less, especially as seeing Ana has no movement ability. You know,
right?
Because even Zen, if you think about it, them changing his melee so that it doesn't knock back, like Ana is literally the least defensive or reactive healer now. I think, at least in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, her only defense is her sleep. For sure,
is her sleep, and then I mean you're the anti, but like
but
the odds of you being able to hit a panic anti and then a sleeper or like, you know, you have to be whoever that guy I was watching the other day when I texted you. You know,
I think you're watching Gale.
Yeah, Gale was able to pull off something like that, and I was like, it literally blew my mind watching that play. So, okay, Kiriko had some changes. The arm hit volumes width reduced by 15%. Added an auto wall climb hero option. I think that's great. The hit volume adjustment in the developer comment is to help address her arms sometimes blocking headshots in her animations. Oh, so it's
when she's like throwing stuff.
It's literally like it changes the volume so you can know that you hit the person. Oh, okay, I kind of like that. But okay, so for the Kitsune Rush, the ultimate cost is increased by 10%. The movement speed bonus is reduced from 50 to 30, and the cooldown rate is reduced from 3 to 2 times faster.
Yeah.
The projection Suzu, the cast time was reduced from 0.15 seconds to 0.1 seconds. The kunai, you get more ammo by 3, and the swift step, the ability input can now be held to be active. I think
I think her ultimate changes were good for sure. The Kitsune Rush.
See, I'm actually going to say I think that was bad
I think
because the amount of times I'm okay on again, you're a PC player, me being the
yes.
Xbox player. Not a lot of people on Xbox have mastered her. Like
Hmm.
they're always terrible at both DPS and heals, and they always use the rush at the wrong time.
Hmm.
Now, if you're playing with a top tier Kiriko who knows when to use the rush, I think that this is a good reset for her ult. But I mean, for me, most of the time people don't even use it right in the first place. So
Hmm. Yeah, I see that sometimes too, but I think more often than not, um, it's pretty good. And I think that having the cost increased by 10% was good because you could get her ult so fast that
yeah.
it was just like constant. And
Hmm.
honestly, the fucking clutter, the visual clutter was like annoying to have like literally all the time. So,
Yes.
um,
Yes.
but
That I will
yeah,
definitely agree with you on.
yeah. And then the movement speed, I think it was really fast. So I think having it reduced was fair. The cooldown rate reduced from 3 to 2 times faster was fair. Um, I think it's just a little bit more balanced, it feels.
It is, especially I agree with you on the movement rate thing as well, because that movement speed being 50% faster after you've taken all the stuns out of the game, like that just sucks, dude.
Yeah.
Like there's no other way to say it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like unless you have a Reaper ult for them to run into,
Hmm.
you have no way to prevent a full 5 stack just rushing you. You
Hmm.
know?
Yeah, that's why I think a lot of people, at least when I play, you Kitsune Rush when the other team Kitsune rushes. You counter it with another Kitsune Rush, and then that way
Yeah,
it makes it
exactly.
a fair playing field. Um,
Yeah, that I've always used it. I have played her a little bit. I do really enjoy playing her. I don't know if you do,
yeah,
Julianne.
she's fun.
As yeah, the other thing I do is I counter with that.
Hmm.
So like if we're like on a point and we're about, or if we're doing escort or whatever with the stupid new robot push, right, is
Push.
what it's called, push. That's not even we can have a whole episode about how dumb that mode is, but when you're doing push, especially like if it's like, oh hey, we could probably win this fight and push the robot pretty far, I will do it then. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? If I see a Lucio pop his thing, I will pop Kitsune because the increased fire rate allows you to just plow through that Lucio ult. You
Yeah,
know
the
what I
beat.
mean?
Yeah.
The drop the beat. You know what I mean? But other than that, like yeah. And then I love that the cast time on the projection is less. Um, the kunai, the ammo increase, I think that's a bad play.
Mhm.
You make her too much stronger in the DPS front, like you're going to be skirting into Moira territory,
Mhm.
especially. I mean, I'd have to go look up the stats. I don't know, maybe off the top of your head, Julianne. I feel like her weapon has the highest headshot multiplier out of everybody except Widowmaker. Like when I actually land a headshot with the kunai, I think it feels broken as a person
Yeah.
playing the character in question. You
Yeah,
know,
I think that a lot of these new heroes that are coming out into the game in the last, I don't know. I feel like they're creating a lot more of these like hybrid roles where,
hmm
like Brig was probably like the first one because she had a shield, right? And then, Bap, he does a lot of damage. He has his window, he can heal, and then there's Kiriko who does a lot of damage, like you said, and from a
yeah,
far distance. Like I have a friend who plays a lot of Widow, a lot of Ashe, and we were playing a game the other day, and he's really good, but he struggled against this Kiriko who was just sniping him from really far and just double
hmm
headshotting him and killing him,
yep.
and that was just that.
Yeah, I mean, I love playing her as that, and I think a lot of things people that are maybe trying to play her that aren't having good luck are forgetting is like you need like she is probably the number one healer other than Ana, where you should not be with the team. You should be in the back, like you
Mhm.
should be away. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
I
I mean,
think yes and no. I feel like that's hard too because her heals take so long to get to somebody if you're far away. You know what
true.
I mean? So it just depends on, I guess, the rest of your comp.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that would be my main buff for her at this point in time would be the little I don't forget what they're called, but like the cards she throws when she
Mhm.
heals. Like I think they need to travel a little faster.
Yeah.
because the auto aim, like even with like I play on console, so obviously I got aim assist. But the amount of times like I'm trying to fully heal the tank, and those things either miss or they like end up healing the DPS because they jumped in front or they jumped near the tank. Is like it is a little annoying, and that might be a skill. I guess technically that could be a skill issue because you're in a bad position where you don't have direct eyesight to the tank. You know what I mean? But I think it could use a slight tweak, but overall she's great.
Yeah.
Mercy, weapon swap time got reduced. Obviously, that was needed. I don't think you and I need to talk about this. And then the blaster, the ammo, you went up to 5 more bullets. I think as far as I'm concerned, we'll never get like what was it, season 3 Mercy back. So any Mercy buff is a good buff at this point.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting for sure. You see a lot. Like as soon as this patch came out, I had gone against several battle mercies, so that was an interesting experience for sure. But I mean, I feel like there are other things in her kit that they could maybe focus more on besides the pistol, but we'll take it. Sure.
Exactly. For the season 2, in this patch, they also announced the season 2 map pools, which for those of you listening to the show, if you haven't figured it out, we are covering season 1 content. We're recording the show during season 2, so we're playing a little bit of catch up. So I'm bad at talking in the past tense. That's why I'm explaining that because my brain's not smart. Anyways, the fact that we're able to play Blizzard World now for the hybrid map, love it, dude. Love that. That's as someone who plays a lot of the sneaky characters, like I love like some of the turret placement you can get on that map, and some of the semester placement you get on that map is like absolutely insane. The monkey's very strong on this map. Lucio with the wall rides, the high movement characters really can have a unique opportunity to excel on this map, because there's so many indoor, outdoor, and up and down, like high ground, low ground angles in this map. I love it, so I'm glad that's back. I'm really liking Shambali Monastery, the new map. I don't know how you feel about that one so far, Julianne.
It's very interesting. The first time I played it, we did really well. I was like, wow, this is great. Every single time I've played it since then, and it's only been like 3 other times because I can play all day and get that game or get that map like maybe once or not at all. But every other time I played it, I've gotten rolled. But I do think it's interesting. I think it's just a learning experience. There's so many different parts of the map, so many different flank routes, high grounds. So it's a cool map. I really like the map design for sure. But it's
same. I do too. It's a little too long for me. Like I think it's the longest, like from the spawn to the payload is like, I don't think there's a map where it's longer than that. You know what I mean? I love the twists and turns. It's a very tank friendly map. There's a lot of corner cover. So I think that's good for all 3 roles, but especially for your tanks. As a dive tank, as if you listen to the first episode, listeners, you probably remember like I am a Winston main. As a dive tank, like I love that map because I can dive in and dive out and have plenty of cover to actually like go find the med kit or go wait for my healer. So and then I am really liking they added a bunch of maps in the evening or like at night, like Nepal, Oasis. I think Secret Royale was already at night, but
I kind of wish that there was an option to have like dark mode enabled and just have all of them at nighttime, because I feel like the daytime maps are so bright. I don't know. I just prefer the nighttime ones like all the time in every situation.
Yeah, and I think Blizzard World that map would look really cool lit up at night. I love like I think it's going on right now, or maybe did it stop already? When they do like the Eichenwald, but it's like the snowy version, and like when they do the snowy version of King's Row, like I love those 2 maps. So it's like
me too.
Maybe not doesn't necessarily need to be nighttime, but more of like the themed stuff. I think is tight.
I like that stuff too.
Yeah, and then the other patch was just a bunch of quality of life, map out of bounds stuff, lighting issues. Overall, they're keeping everything real stable, and I'm really happy with it. They added some good characters to the game. Julianne, I just want to do let's just do like each character either 2 thumbs up 2 thumbs down or one of each. Okay.
Okay.
Let's start with Junkerqueen. Overall, you're giving her 2 thumbs down. I am also giving her 2 thumbs down. Oh wait, where's my camera? There we go. Sorry, Junkerqueen, you're fucking out of here. Kiriko. Damn it. There we go. 2 thumbs up as well. Sojourn. I'm giving her one of each.
That's
dude.
fair.
I think you basically mixed Soldier and Widow together, and like anybody that's been playing this game since release knows that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, I put 2 thumbs up because I like having a Sojourn on my team, but I don't like playing against a good Sojourn. So
see, this is one of those things where like I love the fact that you only play support because it's like, especially like this current season 2, I'm queuing as mostly tank. Mm-hmm. So it's like really changing my perspective on who is or isn't a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
You know, but then again, I'm also the guy that will play Winston and I'll go fight the Reaper. You know what I mean? It's where every other Winston's going to be like, I'm going to change because they brought out a Reaper.
Yeah.
You know? So, all right, Julianne. Well, let's. I think now it's time for our repeat segment. You know, our weekly segment. You know, Cassidy's Most Wanted Corner.
Okay.
Do you have an arch nemesis this week?
Yeah, I do have a couple. I forget last week. Who did I say it was? Was it Doom or Kree? I think it was Doom.
I think it was Doom. I think you said Doom last week.
So I'm going to go with Kree. Or Cassidy, sorry. That's
no, it's okay. I've been doing the same thing.
Bad habit.
I don't think that habit. I don't think any of us will ever drop that habit.
It's just like I've been playing since Overwatch 1 beta, and it's just really hard to get back in that. But Cassidy is on my Cassidy's Most Wanted. His sticky bomb on cooldown is just really stupid, and I hate it. So.
yeah, exactly. I'm with you on that one, girl. Let me tell you what. Mine is Sombra.
Okay.
As we talked about her earlier, I just you know, as especially, you know, when I play my 2, you know, I haven't been playing a lot of Torb, so my 2 mains right now would technically be Winston and Lucio. They're both movement relying characters, so just like she's just so damn annoying.
Yeah, she is fucking annoying.
Because she cancels out the movement ability. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I'm with you on Cassidy though. Like he's always, you know, again, that's the other thing that's interesting to me being on Xbox versus you being on PC is like, the amount of like good Cassidys I see is significantly reduced these days. Mm-hmm. And I love that because that character was always a giant pain in my ass.
I see a lot of them, and I hate it. I see a lot of good Cassidy players, and I just
see, I see a lot of them, but they're not good. So it's like it doesn't bother me anymore. Like now it's like we're back to like the only thing I'm kind of regretting is we're kind of back to this like fucking era of like these random God Widowmaker players. And it's like nothing upsets me more than like, hey guys, I'm the healer. I just got back to you. And then you just sniped. And I'm like wall run bouncing full speed. And she still pieces me in the head. And I'm like,
yeah. Good Widow is definitely not fun to play against.
No, it's not. I just, all right. Well, everybody, anyways, that's been a great second episode of the GG Easy Pod. Julianne, I thank you. I love you. Thank you so much for doing this with me.
Of course.
This is so fun.
Yeah.
Everybody, thanks for checking us out. Don't forget, socials are GG Easy Pod, all one word, no spaces, none of that stuff. We are on YouTube. You can watch all the episodes there. I'm very animated, so that might be slightly more hilarious to you there. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, so, you know, find the channel on YouTube. Everything is linked in the link tree, like I mentioned, which will be in the bio and everywhere else, and in the video and the episode descriptions, blah, 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 blah. Best thing you can do to help Julianne and I out, other than follow us on social media, is please leave reviews. Reviews are the best thing that help with the algorithm for us podcasters. So, as we did last show, Julianne left us with a really good tip. So, Julianne, slap one on us and let's get out of here.
A good tip. God, I don't know. This is a tough one. I think that my last one as a Mercy player was good, but Oh, communicate with your team. A lot of thumbs up today. Communicate with your team, call shit out. Even if you're the only one talking, who cares? Play the game and make calm.
That last comment you made is perfect, because there's so many games where I'm like, okay, I see 4 of the 5 of us are in the comm channel, but no one's talking.
Mm-hmm.
But then like I'll start calling out directions, and I can tell people are paying attention.
Yeah.
And it'll actually help us win the game. So
yes, even if you're the only one doing it, who cares? Just do it.
Who freaking cares? That's right, Julianne. That is right. All right, everybody. I'm Joel Cupcake. That's my lovely co-host, Baby Jules, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.